I'm going to cover basically items 7 through 12, items 16 and 18 on the agenda for today. And I'll make reference to those agenda items when I talk specifically about those projects. So this here is a map of the overall projects that are active this fiscal year. You can see we have maintenance projects and we have improvement projects, and they're, spread out across the entire city limits. And we'll go through specific details on each project on the upcoming slides. So the first project we're going to talk about is on US 1. DOT has a project to enhance the safety, modify the median opening at East Plain Street in front of Heritage Plaza that will restrict left turns from East Plain Street in the shopping center in US 1 to reduce opportunity for left turn and angle crashes, which result in the most serious injuries. They're also, as part of that project, they included adding sidewalks at select locations, adding pedestrian features and lighting at signalized intersections, bicycle through lanes next to right turn lanes, known as keyholes, as well as new inside paved shoulders. The project also proposes to remove and or relocate some trees within the landscape median and to install a new signal at County Road CR 13. So this project is nearly complete. It's about 85% complete right now. It's a $15.2 million project that was fully funded by FDOT. So the goal, I think, is to have this completed by the end of the calendar year. So another DOT project, the first one came up US 1 up to basically Palm Coast Parkway. The project that just began is the continuation of resurfacing on US 1 from Palm Coast Parkway up to the St. Johns County line. So this is an $8 million project. Construction just began on this, and they're also expected to be complete by the end of the calendar year because this is strictly just resurfacing only on this particular project. So Project 3 is our pavement management, which is microsurfacing. So this fiscal year, there were 23 lane miles of microsurfacing of residential roads at a cost just under $1 million. The list of roads that were completed are shown on the slide along with photos of the work. Staff is currently working with the contractor to inspect and finalize the roads that are eligible for this treatment for the upcoming budget. We look at roads in the PCI range of 70 to 80 to target. The current pavement program is underfunded, and we use so we currently don't have ability to pave any residential roads, but the current year residential roads and the proposed 26 roads were able to be funded per council direction utilizing appropriate general fund balance.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. What you're looking at now, the microsurfacing aims to enhance road condition on 23. Is that for this next fiscal year?
This was the current fiscal year. We did 23 lane miles. It's a piggyback contract. I don't believe there's an escalation annually, so we'll get about the same number of road miles. Sometimes there's a little bit of pre-treatment work they have to do ahead of time, but it'll be roughly the same lane miles.
Okay, and is that the same, so for this fiscal year and for last fiscal year, was it around 23 as well?
Yeah, I want to say it was right around 23, maybe been 24 last year. I know it was right around the same amount.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we also have pavement management, resurfacing projects. So the project that is on the agenda for this particular item that we just read is to mill and resurface our arterial roadway, Palm Coast Parkway, between US 1 and 995. So when this road was scanned in 2022, the overall PCI of this half of the corridor was, in the high 70s. And since then, it's severely degraded. The segment of Palm Coast Parkway was noted by the consultant Transmap to be resurfaced in sections over the course of 4 fiscal years, which the final segment being done in 2026. So we're basically didn't do instead of doing a little bit every year, we held off a little bit and we're doing it all as one bigger project. So that matches the Transmap plan from the last scan that their recommendation was in order to do this project. It consists of milling and resurfacing about 1.5 inches asphalt, putting down a new 1.5 inches asphalt, striping. We do have some deep mill repair, so where they deep mill about 8 inches, and put in new base underneath that so we don't have as quick deterioration in the future in those areas. Sometimes it's high water table. Sometimes the sub-base material is just not proper. We can't get the proper compaction and the pavement fails quickly. In this project, we're also addressing a couple intersections to improve some areas. The most notable one is the left turn lane. When you're heading westbound to turn left onto Pine Lakes Parkway, that is typically very often stacked to the max, and people are going in the grass or backing up into the through lane. So we're extending that turn lane. We're also continuing the left turn lane at Bridgehaven Drive. I'm sorry, Bridgehaven Drive all the way to the intersection. Right now, it stops short at O'Reilly, and so we're adding about another 50 feet. So that left turn lane is going to go all the way to the street, not ending at the entrance to O'Reilly.
So, Carl, I have a question about that specifically. I find it to be kind of an issue across this entire section of Palm Coast Parkway because there's kind of broken turn lanes, right? Like you'll have turn lanes for going into existing businesses, but then it'll break again, and then there'll be a turn lane maybe 50 feet up. And it seems to me that, just having that one continuous turn lane would be more effective. And so I'm not sure, from a planning standpoint, in terms of when these, a lot of this has been done because a business comes in, for instance, like O'Reilly's, right? They have a requirement to build a turn lane, but then that 20 feet to the next intersection is not done because that's not their requirement. But I'm wondering from a planning standpoint if it makes sense that, if we have instances where there's an additional 20 or 40 feet to get to that next intersection, that we can kind of co-plan this a little bit to be able to do this at the time.
Like Mother Seton, for example, right? If you go in north on Belterre, right, you can either turn into Mother Seton
or continue to Cypress Point. Yes, correct.
There's pros and cons to that, and each one have to be evaluated kind of independently, because sometimes if you get in the turn lane too early and you're riding that turn lane up, some people are going to pull out and they think you're turning into their driveway, but you're not. You're going to the second or third driveway. So they pull out thinking you're turning, and you're not turning there. You're turning at the next driveway. So we do have those concerns, but we do, right, we don't want to have those grass segments because sometimes people get in those thinking they can turn, and then all of a sudden they can't. They have to somehow
they have to
quickly
force
pull back into the
in.
through lane.
Yeah.
So,
so I see that. I'm just wondering if there's not a better way to do that in terms of planning, because especially in this area, I think it's a concern. In other areas, not so much, but here where you have kind of like strip malls and random commercial properties, it seems to have been kind of piecemealed over the years, and then you get these, 50-foot long turn lanes over and over again with 20-foot gaps in between, and it just seems like if you just connected them, it would probably alleviate some of the traffic in that area.
We'll definitely make sure we consider that when we're evaluating upcoming resurfacing projects.
Like, for instance, I think we have a turn lane onto Pine Lake Parkway going north as well, the opposite of the one we're fixing. But prior to that, there's a turn lane that rides the St. Joe Plaza businesses, but then it breaks for like 40 feet or something. So you can't just continue on to the right. You have to get back into the middle lane and then get back into the right lane.
Yeah, as far as like business frontage, their frontage, another example would be up here at the storage facility, turning in to come off of State Road 100 to come to City Hall. You got that whole strip. If it was a turn lane, it would relieve some of that traffic.
And it's separated by about 10 feet of grass.
It's the whole frontage of the building,
Right.
of the business, really.
And sorry to derail the entire conversation into turn lane efficiency, but I just wanted to. There's a lot of examples of that I feel like just a simple modification would have made it more effective.
Could you require them like that? For example, that storage facility out there on State Road 100. Could you have required them to do the whole frontage? Because everybody knows that needs to be three lanes each way with turn lanes on State Road 100. Everyone agree to that.
It would have to be evaluated based on their needs and their turning movements, how much additional work, in terms of it's going to be a capacity improvement or if it's just a safety improvement. So that's something we'd have to work out, we'd evaluate, but we'll make sure that is something we work with, when new developments come in and when we resurface projects.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think there should be an ask, and even if it's legally considered not to be their responsibility, there may be some savings for us to pitch in and do the final 10 feet to connect the two.
Right, we do.
You know.
We give impact fee credits and whatnot as part of these
Yeah,
agreements
exactly.
and whatnot for certain things. Absolutely. Just as you know, so this project we are looking to it's going to be all at nighttime work, 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. This item's on the agenda, like I just discussed. It's for approval of the construction contract, CEI, and the project contingency, and this is fully funded by the Streets Improvement Fund. We are going to track the cost of the lane extensions because we could use impact fee funds to offset those costs, but it's fairly small dollar. It's somewhere between, it's probably just a little over 50 grand, so it's not a huge cost. There's not a lot of work there.
And just for clarity for those maybe watching or here, Street Improvement Fund is the gas tax, the local option gas tax. Is that correct?
Primarily, it's two sources of funds, but primarily gas
State
tax.
and a state share, right?
It's a state share of some sales tax and
So
gas.
it's like 2.8 million per year or something like that.
Yeah, almost all the money in that fund goes to resurfacing.
Okay. I just wanted to make that for the public to be aware.
Okay, Carl, you want to pause there and let's go ahead and take care of that resolution?
Sure.
Is that good, Mr. Duffy? Can we get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
Got a motion to approve? Got a second?
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion from the dais? Public comment? No one come forward? Back to the dais. Ms. Cook, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro,
Yes.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We're moving on to 8, resolution.
We have another 2025 resolution approving a construction contract with Halifax Paving Incorporated, project contingency and work order for CEI services for Belterra Safety Improvement Project.
I can skip down to the Belterra slide so we can stay in
Well, if we can
sync.
take them in order, it'd be better for us, Carl, if you want.
I think that's, yeah.
Yes.
So the next one is the Belterra.
Yep. So this project is a safety and capacity improvement project, making improvements at 8 intersections along Belterra Parkway from Royal Palms Parkway intersection up to Pritchard Drive intersection. It's going to add 10 right turn lanes and extend 5 existing left turn lanes, as well as eliminate a left turn off of Pine Grove onto Belterra Parkway. This item it covers the construction contract, CI contract, as well as a project contingency for a total amount just under $7 million. The project is funded with a $4.5 million state appropriation, with the remaining amount being funded with transportation impact fees. Construction is anticipated to begin this fall, with completion in the fall of 2026, and there'll be lane closures throughout the construction. So this is one they're gonna have to go through a little bit of
Pain.
pain
Yeah.
to have an improvement. So
I think this is going to be great. Should, reduce a lot of the issues here at some of these intersections, especially Royal Palms.
Yes.
Yeah. It is going to cost some.
It's going to be difficult to get through it, but once we're through it, it should improve this roadway.
Have we given any consideration or discussed Cypress Point, that left turn coming out of Cypress Point onto Belterra? Because there's 2 lanes,
I mean, the double left.
the double left, and if there were two left turn lanes, you wouldn't have to worry about stopping all that traffic that's trying to go right. Have the planners given any consideration to that?
I mean, adding a right turn or turning the
Yeah.
right left turn to a right turn.
Just an extra lane.
Extra lane.
yeah. We looked at it a few years ago, and the amount of traffic going straight across, into the shopping plaza or turning right is very minimal. Almost the majority of the traffic turn left. So
Yeah. So for people like me and you, Mr. Mayor, that may be turning right, it's a pain point, but for most people, it's not.
I was just wanting to ask and see if there was.
No, I've sat through 2 lights, there trying to take a simple right turn. So no, I feel it.
Okay. Is that got more for that one?
That's it for this one.
Okay, can we get,
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
we got,
Second.
we got a second? Any further discussion from the dais? Public comment?
It's not part of the project. It's between US 1 and 100 on Belter. We have that new development being built, and right now, in the Z section, sometimes it takes us a few cycles of the traffic light to go through. Is there anything that can be done to make it better, especially knowing that we're going to have much more traffic from the end of the street?
Okay, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything on that south end, Carl?
Yeah, well, we have two intersections that are in our study period in our 5-year plan. The intersection at Belterre and 100 to possibly even have 2 left turn lanes to go southbound and then heading northbound. You know, there's tight right of way there. We're working with the developer through planning for that. I guess it would be the southwest corner of the intersection to obtain 12 feet of land so we can put in additional lanes on Belterre. And then we took counts early on Citation and Belterre before we open up the extension. So we're going to keep analyzing that. We know with those new subdivisions and whatnot, that's going to be another intersection we may have to do something on in the future. So those are in our 5-year outlook plan to keep an eye on and move forward as needed.
Okay, Ms. Chantel, so your question, we are looking at the south side too. Okay, any further comments from the dais? Ms. Cook, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, next one is 9. City Attorney?
We have another 2025 resolution approving a work order with England Thames and Miller for additional design services for the continuation of phases 2A, 3, and 4 of Matanzas Woods Parkway and Palm Coast Parkway Connector Railroad project.
So on the slide here, I show an overall schematic of the loop road connecting Matanzas Wood Parkway and Palm Coast Parkway. You can see there's 4 phases to the project. Phase 2 is the northern one, extending Matanzas up over the tracks. Then we extend, then it goes to 2A, which will head west and then south. And then there's phase 4, which is a gap. And then phase 3 takes it back over the tracks to Palm Coast Parkway. So all 4 phases of these projects received appropriations. Phase 2, we've already moved forward with our DOT agreement. So we do have other items on the agenda today for the agreements. I think it's item 12. But for now, in this particular one, it's for ETM. So after we approve those agreements, our intent is to continue with the designer to finish up design construction drawings for phase 2A, 4, and a portion of 3. These agreements do not require a local match, so this design contract will be fully funded, or the design increase will be fully funded by DOT per those agreements.
Okay, thank you, sir. What I'd really like, Carl, when we had that conversation about the badge plan out there, I'd like a more blown up picture of that area there and how that road is going to come around to Palm Coast Parkway. I'd really like to have some idea of how it's going to look. I know where you guys are, in the planning process, but, that would help us.
Yeah, we're going to need to purchase some right-of-way on the east of the tracks connecting to Palm Coast Parkway. And some of that is a land from the cul-de-sac that's further east from the one that you guys looked at today. So there's potential that cul-de-sac could be connected to Palm Coast Parkway there. It is going to be closer to the intersection, so that'll have to be analyzed to see what type of movement could be made out of that connection point. But that would be another opportunity to have, another way in and out of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's your map, Mr. Mayor, that you were looking for earlier.
Yeah, well, I knew I'd seen some versions of it, but I was it's not zoomed in enough to
Right,
be able to tell with those properties. So is that all you got on that one, Carl?
Yes.
And how much is, this is the big money.
This is the state appropriations. Yeah.
Big money.
Well, this is the ETM contract, so this is for the additional design funding, but it's fully funded by the DOT agreement. I don't recall the agenda item what the amount was.
No, we're on 9, right?
9.
Okay, can
J9.
we get a motion?
Motion to approve J9.
Second.
Second.
We got a second. Any further discussion from the dais?
I had one quick question. Carl, on phase 2,
Yes.
I know the design work's already done on that. When is that currently out for bid right now for the construction piece?
We intend to be able to bid within the next month.
Okay.
I think I have an item here with FPL for that item, and I can go more specifics
Okay.
on that phase.
But it's on track, and it's a notice. You got to get 30 days, and the RFP goes out.
And
Yeah, our goal is to have all the agreements and everything we need for phase 2A back to council by sometime in November.
Okay, great. Thank you.
yeah, I was going to say that I know there's a lot of new moving parts, but having kind of the same timeline that we have on some of the other projects would be helpful to know when and where this is going. Like I said, I know there's right now specifically there's a lot of moving parts to get this done. So
Yeah, the phase 2A4 in the design, we're in the midst of compiling all the documentation to submit for permitting. We know that's going to take about 9 months or so. Our goal is by about this time next year, we'd have plans pretty close to being done for 2A and 4, so we can have something to go out to bid. So roughly a year from now is our target date, unless we run into some complications. But that's kind of what we're shooting for right now.
but so then the flyovers, those will be preceding those portions.
Yes, the green segment is looking to go out to bid now, and that
Okay.
would start. We probably wouldn't actually move dirt until like January, but the contracts and everything be through the process.
So
this fall.
early 26. Okay.
For the public at large, those that listening at home, that's going to be a major project up on the north end to begin with.
Yeah, luckily it will be very minimal impact to residents because it's in the middle of undeveloped area.
Yeah, okay. Did we open it up for public comment? We'll open this up for public comment. Seeing no one come forward, back to the dais. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Motion to approve? We already
We already got that. Yeah.
Had the motion?
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We're moving on to J10.
Yes, we have another resolution 2025 approving a contract with Chincor Electric Incorporated for the construction of the Seminole Woods Parkway traffic signal.
So this project, we're planning improvements on Seminole Woods Boulevard at Airport Commerce Center Way and Euler Turn Trail intersection to enhance traffic flow and safety. The project includes installing a new traffic signal with preemption capabilities for the new Fire Station 26 that's under construction in the northwest corner. The $1.2 million project also includes constructing a southbound left turn lane to optimize intersection capacity and safety. This cost covers the construction contract, the CEI contract, as well as the project contingency. Construction is planned to begin this fall with completion by spring of 2026 to coincide with the opening of the fire station.
Okay, any questions? Is that
It's funded totally with transportation impact fees.
okay? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go.
This is mostly just to get the fire department able to get out onto this road in emergencies.
Correct. But it also will help the residents coming out of
Euler
U-Turn
Turn,
Drive.
yeah, take
and
a left.
Businesses that will be on Airport Commerce Way get in and out as well.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from the dais?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
We got a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a second with traffic signal at Seminole Woods. Public comment? No public comment. Back to the dais. No comments. Ms. Cook, please call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to J11.
We have another 2025 resolution approving a Florida Power and Light agreement for the relocation of distribution facilities for the Matanzas Woods Parkway expansion.
So this item is associated with the Phase 2 of the Loop Road project, just west of the existing roundabout where Matanzas Dead ends. There's a distribution facility that needs to be relocated for the extension of this road. So we are looking to approve that item so we can begin that process before we get here to begin construction. So on the agenda item today, also in the consent, is an agreement, interlocal agreement with Benel for the Lambert Ave Railroad closure. They've already approved the agreement, so it's part of creating this flyover. FEC requires existing at-grade crossing closure. And I think, just to remind council that we went through that process working with Benel to get that approval. This just clarifies some things in the interlocal that, that closure is really tied to this project and funded as part of this project for that closure to occur. FEC actually does the design and closure work. It's just to tie the two together between us and Benel so they're not on the hook for any costs, just clarify some of that language. That's on their agenda for August 26th. We just put it on here so we can move things along. That has to be in place before we can get our new agreements for the above grade agreement with FEC. We will be coming back to council for future items. We still have a right-of-way agreement that we need with the property owner, to the west, and FPL's transmission relocation. So along the tracks, there's transmission lines. They're out to bid. Bids come in the end of this month. So once those bids are in, they are going to formalize that agreement. We'll be coming back to council for that. And then we'll have the FEC agreements we have some utility agreements under the tracks, and then we have the bridge over the tracks. So there'll be multiple agreements. And then we'll also have the construction and CI contracts in contingency in the future. So this project does have a local match. It's a $25 million state appropriation, and there was a match in there as well as some additional funding that the city expensed prior to this whole project starting. So the city's costs are roughly $10 million, and DOT's cost is about $25 million total. We haven't received the bids yet, so we'll see how bids come in. But this is just one of many items that will be coming to council.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the council? Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Any further discussion? Public comment? No public comment. Bring it back. Ms. Cook, if you could call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we're moving on to J12.
We have another resolution for 2025 approving Florida Department of Transportation state-funded grant agreements for Matanzas Woods Parkway, Extension West Phase 2A, and Phase 4 of the project.
So we're going back to this loop road. So we currently have a Phase 2 DOT grant agreement already in place and executed. So this item is for the grant agreement specifically for 2A and 4. Phase 3 we do not have yet. We're still working through the final agreement language with DOT and central office. So this item is just to approve those DOT agreements saying they're going to provide that state appropriation funding for this project.
Is that all you got, Carl?
That's it. And I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention, I do have all our transportation staff in the back of the room who really do the lion's share of all the work on these projects. So they're here as well to answer questions if you wanted more specifics on any of these projects.
If it's beyond your scope.
Yes.
Okay, any questions from the dais?
No, sir.
So I just have a clarifying question. In the description, in the agenda item description, this is to approve two grant amounts, one in the amount of $24,950,000 and another in the amount of $30,100,000.
Correct.
And we don't have pricing on what these actual costs are, correct?
The construction pricing, no.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything in the grant? I'm concerned that if we sign the grant agreement, we agree to take the money, but then for some reason we don't have the money in impact fee funds, we don't get further FDOT support, that we're going to somehow be responsible to continue to pay for this another way, with even if it's above and beyond the grant amounts.
So the reason why these agreements took so long, we get these projects funded a year ago, was because we crafted our appropriation language, and because our appropriation requests were not fully funded, we had to work through central office on our language. So the extents and limits of the project are non-specific. And initially we had requested a multi-lane roadway, and our intent is to just design a 2-lane roadway. So we had to get that approval, and it says phase 2A is from the end of phase 2 to activity center. So there's, potential site for an activity center that has more than one way in and out. So as long as we get to that property, and then phase 4 just talks about filling in a gap to phase 3, extending from 2A to phase 3, and there's no set terminus or distance or length of roadway called out for specifically. So our intent is when we design these segments, we've been talking to contractors on phase 2 because we did bid that project. There was an additional $20 million allocated by DOT, but it's further out in the work program. So we had to rescope that project so we can go out to bid. And so there is an additional $20 million, but as we spoke to those various contractors, we got much better ideas on funding and scope and what we can do with those dollars. So based on what we heard from them and what our consultants been piecing together, they feel fairly confident that with that additional $20 million in those 2 funding pots for phase 2A and 4, that we should be able to construct close to this limits on there. When we put out to bid, they're going to fill out the station marker of how far this money is going to go. We're going to say this bid is $30.1 million, well, minus the design dollars. Say it's $28 million. For $28 million, tell us your end station point. And that's going to be the bid, whoever gets us the furthest.
I see. So there's not a scenario where we execute the grants and then for some reason project costs come in, and I'm just throwing out a random number, $20 million over that we can't afford, and so we have to prolong something somehow. I just want to make sure we're not on the hook for grant monies that we can't make up a funding difference for.
Right. We believe we crafted the language well enough so that will not occur.
So I asked some similar questions to prior, and my understanding is, in a pre-bid process, the questions were, how can we build this, or how can we scope it to where this money will be the appropriate amount of money for you to bid on? So I think that everybody involved knows that there's a finite pool of money, and that the scoping of it, the design of it has to match what we can afford to do without going over. And I know that doesn't guarantee anything, but I think everybody has interest in making sure that that doesn't happen, because it may stall the project or do other things if we can't make up that difference.
This is the second time that phase 2 has gone out to bid, right? And so we worked with potential contractors to rescope it to make it happen.
Yeah,
within the context of the original deal.
Yeah, we're fairly confident phase 2 is going to come in at our revised scope. It's going to come in our available funding, and based on that feedback from, I think it was at least 2, possibly 3 contractors, that information's helped us on scope the dollars for phase 2 and 4.
Yeah, so we have precedence on kind of managing this situation.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I know. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
Got a motion to approve?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussion from the dais? Public comment? No public comment? Ms. Cook, if you please call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro? Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
This one may take a bit longer. J13?
Yes, as we have resolution.
I apologize. I have updates on other various road projects that have happened or will happen.
Go right ahead, Carl.
Okay, I just want to make sure you still want to go through those.
Go right ahead. Pick up where you need to go.
So this item is on the consent agenda. This is span wire. Actually, this is not on the consent agenda. I apologize. This was a project completed this year. This was span wire refurbishment. So this was replacement of overhead hardware and wiring at 4 span wire intersections along Palm Coast Parkway. To include the replacement of signage, traffic signal, and it was done to address safety and operational concerns and issues with the existing span wires where they were sagging due to age, and it's also going to help reduce trouble calls due to damaged wiring, renews all the signage that had faded, and reduce the risk of the span wire failure during wind events. So the completion of that was recently done, and it was at a cost of just over $600,000, and it was done using the streets improvement funding.
Did it come in under budget?
Came in right in about budget. I want to say we had $625,000. So they did an excellent job. We were having numerous issues, especially with the wiring. If it got wet or if the wind blew, the signal started going into trouble mode. And, as you know, the span wires were sagging. You get clearance heights with the big trucks and whatnot. So these are some of our major intersections. It was causing a lot of concerns for our public works staff. And that's why we moved forward with this. It took some work working with DOT and our structural engineers on what we can do. These posts, we wanted to add some more heads, like at Cypress Point, we get a dedicated turn lane and some other heads, but these are maxed out. We cannot add any additional components, even signs to these. So we were able to refresh them all with new components. So we, at least from an operational standpoint and safety standpoint, they're better. We do have a phase 2 project. So there's 4 additional span wires on Belterre Parkway. This item is on the consent agenda. So there's also one more piece to this. I'll show on a next slide. But this will do, you can see at those locations along Belterre. It does it at that Publix Coles. It does it at Cypress Point, Pine Lakes Parkway, and then coming down to, I believe that's Parkview.
Schools, yeah. Carl, in regards to that, is there anything from preventing this work from happening at night? I know in particular, Belterre and Palm Coast Parkway, I think eastbound, that one definitely occurred in the middle of the day and caused a little bit of disruption.
I think it's the same contractor, correct?
Yeah, Tyler Gibson, I'm the project manager. So a lot of what they did at Belterre, they did most of the overhead at night. Some of the stuff like the underground and around the cabinet stuff needs to be done during the day because it's hard to see when you're digging in the trenches and everything. So a lot of the shutdown of the intersection will be done at night, but stuff that's done when they're doing bores on the side of the road and stuff like that, it'll be a combination of night and day.
Okay, yeah, and maybe I just didn't see all the the stuff that was anecdotally you only see what you see. So I just remember.
I remember that too. I don't know what was going on, but they had trouble.
And that's just, everything on the north side of town goes through that intersection, so to speak. So everybody sees that,
So when they, most likely it was more of the boring and the new piping underground and everything. When they go to do the heads over on the span, they'll restring a whole new span. They'll hang all the new heads on there and they'll be dark. Mm-hmm. Then they'll do all the wiring. All that's done at night. And then they'll come in, they'll saw cut off the old span, drop it. The intersection will be dead. Well, it'll be dark for 20, 30 minutes, and then they do that in the middle of the night, pick up all the old signal heads that hit the ground, and then they wire everything in, and it's back up and running within the hour. But they do all that stuff overnight, all the overhead work.
Okay, thank you.
We'll work with them and try and make sure that they minimize any lane closures and whatnot during day, or at least the peak hours of morning and afternoon.
Okay, what else you got, Carl?
All right. Then on 100, this is a project, been talking about for a long time, a lot of frustration for residents. We still do not have control over the signals, but they are wrapping up work here. I want to say that they're very near completion. There's a lot of work done, some additional turn lanes, some new traffic signal replacements, sidewalks. They did some drainage modifications and ability for truck movements and safety just east of Belterre, 95. Again, this was fully funded by DOT. It was $15.2 million. And this here, they are working on a new coordination plan for the entire corridor, but they want to wait till they take new counts once the work was completed. So they'll be collecting data, creating a new coordination plan, sharing that with us, and then implementing it. I think they're targeting to have it in place by the spring. From there, we'll continue to monitor it and propose some adjustments to it. Any changes we have to get their approval for, but as we see things that may not be functioning properly, we'll be able to tweak it. So, it's still going to be a work in progress, as we move forward. Like all signal timing, once you put it in place, it's ever changing. Citation Boulevard extension. This was, one of our major, achievements this past year. It was working with a developer to extend citation where it dead ended over to Seminole Woods. So now it provides a true connection between Belterre and Seminole Woods. Both of those roads are long ways in and out, and this provides additional emergency response as well. It's going to be located close to our new fire station 26. As you recall, it resulted in the elimination of a fire station and those ongoing operational costs. This was fully funded with impact fees from transportation and impact fee credits from the developer, and there's a little bit of utility work, some upsizing for utility CIE, impact fee credits that were put into it as well. So Florida Park Drive, this is part of the Spanwire project. So this was an item in that bid where we're adding 2 new pedestrian crossings. This is where the new Wawa is in that southeast corner. This is also going to provide, make some modifications, make sure everything's ADA compliant, and make those enhancements to provide these 2 new crossings at this location. So this will be funded out of the Streets Improvement Fund. Belterre, we talked about Whiteview Parkway. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question really quickly? On Florida Park Drive, the exit out of Publix coming onto Florida Park Drive, I'm constantly seeing people cross that. Is there anything that we've ever looked at, any mechanism to maybe make that safer for people to cross? Because Holland Park is right there as well.
Pedestrian crossing?
Yes.
I do not believe we looked at a pedestrian crossing there.
Where at? On Florida Park?
Yeah, the exit out of right there where Hobby Lobby and Publix is, coming out onto Florida Park Drive near Holland Park.
Across from that little business center. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very busy area right there, and there's constantly people walking or riding bikes. So I wasn't sure if we'd ever done any type of analysis.
We have not. We looked at the entrance to Holland Park, making a pedestrian crossing there and looking at ways, to get people across to that neighborhood across the street. But I know we didn't look at it here, but it's something we can take a look into.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Like I said, it's all the time there's pedestrians, so if we can look into that.
And I know Stormwater, I think, is looking at this area as well, so we'll make sure we coordinate. And
Okay.
if they're going to do something, it's always good to combine things,
Sure.
work together.
Thank you.
Whiteview Parkway, this came to council fairly recently, so this is the entire length of Whiteview, where, we're modifying some median openings by rolling sands where there's been, a tremendous amount of accidents. It's roughly an $8 million project, but there's a $1.6 million grant. The remaining is funded with impact fees and a little bit of resurfacing, Streets Improvement Fund for resurfacing. You can see we're adding a bunch of right turn lanes and left turn lanes at various intersections. Contractors moving along. They've begun work, 6% construction, so it's expected to be done next summer, so about a year from now. Old Kings Road Phase 2. So this is a project we did receive state appropriations on, and roughly $8.3 million. Our intent is this is going to take the road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes up, from basically the bowling alley up to Frontier. It's going to add 2 traffic signals at Frontier and Fleetwood Drives. The design is currently completed. We're waiting on FPL to complete an FPL transmission pole relocation. Currently, there's a transmission pole right in the middle of the right-of-way. So they are looking at removing that and adding a pole at each side of the roadway. So once they have that complete and have a timetable, we'll be able to move forward with that piece of the work and then go out to bid. So our goal is to go out and bid in the spring. It's about 2 years of work. And then we'll hopefully be able to move forward to that phase 3. Seminole Woods traffic signal we talked about, the loop we talked about, Old Kings Road South Phase 2. So you can see this is part of your legislative ask as well today. Phase 2A is this green piece basically on Old Kings Road, and then 2B is the magenta one. This piece heading west is on Royal Palms Parkway that goes town center to Royal Palms. So we are currently evaluating that. The consultant has begun the work. You can see there's various types of funding. So we had the Old Kings Road Special Assessment District. We had regular traffic impact fees. We also had town center traffic impact fees. We did have some state appropriation in here as well. The utility fund has some dollars in here for some potential relocates and work. And then stormwater fund as well, because that canal under 95 is a restriction point. So we are also trying to coordinate with DOT on that. One of the first things that we've asked them to do is to do an assessment and that Royal Palms and Town Center Boulevard intersection. So they've taken some counts. It was done before school started. They're updating those counts now that Imagine School's in place. And they'll come back to us with their findings by the end of September. So we'll be able to bring that information back to you.
Is that when we anticipate maybe talking about a temporary solution to that intersection?
Yeah, we're going to look at temporary options because there could be multiple. It could be a three-way stop initially, just to put something in place. It could then turn into a roundabout that's only 2 lanes in each direction that ultimately may get changed, when we widen to 4 lanes to either a traffic signal or a bigger roundabout or something. So it may be a phased approach with multiple solutions. So we'll know once we hear back from them, because the 3-way stop sign could fail. We don't want to stack cars all the way to Old Kings Road or, cause something not to operate properly, may only work for a certain period of time. So we're going to explore all options and avenues to make that work better. And then our traffic calming plan. So, as you recall, we tried different options throughout the city as pilots. We took a few of them out because some of them were temporary. We did complete our traffic manual, and we removed the speed humps from Cimarron, as well as those temporary deflectors on Florida Park and Fleetwood. Not Florida Park, Forest Grove, I apologize. We are currently in the stages of creating an application process, and we'll be bringing that back to council and with some direction on options of how that moves forward.
Do we know when that is scheduled? Has it been scheduled yet?
No, it has not been scheduled yet. We just began working with IT on how we can create the form and make things ADA accessible, and then we need to come up with options on how we get the resident feedback on their input. We'll present council with several options and scenarios, and then look at how what scope of people are going to be reached out to.
Right. Yeah. I continue to get questions about when can we start making requests for this. So
there's currently no money in the upcoming budget for any of these to go into place. We did not include any dollars for that. I think the goal was next fiscal year we'd finalize the application, the process, work through that. So by June, we can then program some dollars for the 27 budget.
Yeah, I understood that, the actual work may lag behind the request for budgeting reasons.
Right.
But at least having something there for the residents to request and kind of get it moving in that direction if a neighborhood so wants, I think would alleviate some of the angst, because at least they know it's going somewhere.
And that was it. I just kind of wanted to help give everyone an overview of all the various things happening or have happened in our city.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Any further questions?
I just wanted to say thank you, Carl. I mean, you look at all these projects and the scope and the money, and you guys do a lot of stuff and handle a lot of stuff. So you and your staff and everybody else involved, that we may not see from a day-to-day or week-to-week, it's appreciated, because this is very important for our city going forward to improve. We've worked on stormwater and water, and I think the next big thing is roads, and this is a lot of it right there.
Safety.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you to the team in the back as well. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Okay, City Attorney, we'll move on to J13.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have another resolution, 2025, approving the interlocal agreement with the Flagler County Airport Protection Zoning Regulation.
And I think, Vice Mayor, you were in the camp of setting up a joint board. Is that going with this?
I still am, just because we can't make this retroactive. I am appreciative, I will say, of the changes they were willing to make to the ILA in the case that it is approve today. But yeah, I'm still in the camp of wanting to create the board rather than the ILA.
And just as a reintact, Mr. Hansen's here for any questions, but as I said at our joint workshop with the county, that can have a retroactive ordinance because of the notice requirements and also the county's ordinance requirements. So I did make those changes as the board required the last business meeting. So standing by for any questions, myself and Mr. Hansen.
So could we table this and move to establish the board?
So to have a board, you would need to have some type of agreement with the
Local
county.
agreement with the county?
Yeah, and at least it was my perspective that the county was not interested in doing that. I could have received that wrong. Right now, I know that they reviewed this ILA at their board meeting yesterday. I did not review it, but I assume that they passed it and agreed to it. That's kind of where we stand right now, sir. If now your options are, you can make a motion to approve this, or you can try to reach back out to the county, see if they want to change and do a board. Or option 3 is this board decides not to have an interlocal agreement. We're not in compliance with statute. We just don't have a say when it comes to the airport.
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
All right, we got a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion? Yeah, the biggest thing is height, right? If something comes up as far as height, interfering with it.
It's the overlaid zones.
That's the main.
That and the sound contours are my biggest
It's a sound con.
thing, and my concern with those. And I know that, as of right now, there's the most likely outcome for the study will be no change in the sound contours because we haven't changed the shape or the size of the airport in any way. When they do, or if they ever do, that's when the sound contours may change. I don't know what the plans are for that. I know that my understanding is that it's labeled as a specific level of airport that is not allowed to service planes over right. So unless they were to get a change in how they're labeled, there would be no need to increase the size of the runway. So my biggest concern is just preventing any overreach in terms of going into someone's personal property because of the growth of the airport and either taking their home, with compensation, but either way, that's still taking their home. And so I don't think that we have any means essentially to do anything from our end with the board or with the ILA in regards to that. We have the wording that we have a say that you asked for, Vice Mayor. But I'm not
Advisory only.
right. But I don't think there's any function that we could enact that would change that situation. Otherwise, the overlay portions, all of our zoning already complies with that. There's no issues there. There's no conflict. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look, statutorily, we have to do this. I think my issue is fundamentally waiting almost 10 years and doing this with impunity at this point. I think there's a lack of accountability and the way this should have been handled, and I cannot abide by that, so I will not support this. But that's just my position on it. It's not because I don't recognize the need. It's just that I don't feel comfortable the city piggybacking on something that should have been done almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
what happens if we don't adopt the ILA at all?
Well, I mean, we would have to go the board route, and that's
Well, what if we don't do either?
well, then we're not in compliance with.
Yes, exactly.
It's not fair to us because we didn't do anything wrong. Almost 10 years.
Why do we need to? I guess because of the overlay
Because the
requirements.
statute requires us that have to be, since we're so close to the
Since we're next to them.
So it's ourselves, the city of Bunnell, and Flagler County. We are required to have either an ordinance or a ILA.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously this should have been done as soon as it was required. And quite frankly, it seems strange to me that the planning of a city should be based on an airport that is next to it, that is not within the city. Understand that this existed prior to Palm Coast existing, so I just don't. I don't think there was good planning in that regard, right? For everything to be abutting it like that, especially residential and things like that. But we can't. There's no time machine to go fix that.
Yeah. Well, you got anything to add, Mr. Hanson?
Michael Hanson, Community Development. No, sir. But to Councilmember Miller's point, for reference, I put up the statute on the screen in case there's any further questions. But subpart B there is the part that requires any political subdivision to also go through with this.
Right. So we're directed by state to adopt one
That's
of
correct.
these. Yeah.
And my objections and some of my issues, I'm not going to rehash with the airport and the administration of it. So,
Yeah, and I think those are separate issues that some of those things we all should agree on as well.
yep. Any further discussion from the dais?
I just think it's prudent to have some sort of say, even if it's advisory, than not at all, on both ways. So that's why I support it.
Yes, sir. We'll open it up for public comment. Ms. Chantel has something to say.
I want to make sure I understand if that is meant to protect the airport from having the city build more development, or if this is meant for the airport building that would affect the residents. Who is that going to help?
Thank you, ma'am. This is all about height restrictions around the airport, the contours, the sound contours. We are just limited in what we can do.
I think to answer, I think it's both. It's meant to protect residents and their building within proximity to the airport, so that they're not building an unsafe structure near the airport that has potential for accidents and things like that. But then also the same thing is protecting the airport and those traffic, so that they have essentially an easement to take off and land safely.
Yes. I hope that answers your question, Ms. Chantel. Any further discussion from the dais? Ms. Cook, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
No.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris? The motion passes 3-2.
Thank you. Moving on to item J14.
Yes, sir. J14, another 2025 resolution approving the nuisance abatement final assessment.
Should already been up here ready to go.
That's what I was going to say. I wasn't going to give the presentation if you don't want to. This is the, sorry. I got a big mouth. I don't know why I have to use the mic, but.
We can hear you, just the public at large can't hear you.
The final assessment hearing, and this is just to finalize it, to get it to go over to the tax collector. The total for 2025 is $113,000. I just wanted to note, though, in 2024, we had $114,795, and we actually collected $113,531.22. So our return on taking care of notice of remedies with overgrown conditions, unsecured pools, it works. And once it's on their tax roll, they're paying it back, so.
So to that, though, last time we had discussed, I don't want to call them punitive, but kind of a little bit more of a slap on the wrist if we can.
We're looking into that,
You are
yes. I took
looking
your
into it.
notes on
Okay.
that one, yeah. I told you I wouldn't be able to do it this time, but for next year, yes.
No. I agree with you. I remember that being something that obviously we couldn't implement for this year. I just wasn't sure if we had gotten that information back yet.
I haven't really,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you guys have got me up here so often lately.
Yeah.
I'm becoming a fixture in here.
There could be worse, Barbara.
I know, it could be a lot worse.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from the council?
No, sir.
Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the resolution.
Second.
We got a motion and a second for the nuisance abatement final assessment. Any further discussion? Public comment? No, bring it back to the dais. Ms. Cook, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, ladies. Thanks. We're moving on to J15.
Yes, we have another 2025 resolution approving the fiscal year 2025-2026 non-ad valorem assessment roll for the Old Kings Road Special Assessment District.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Michael Vespucci, Senior Accountant. The item before you today is for the approval of the annual special assessment on the Old Kings Road Special Assessment Tax District. The annual assessment is for the repayment of road improvements associated with the Phase 1 project. The assessment was first added to the roll in 2013 and will remain for a period of 30 years. It is expected to be repaid in 2043. Once this item is approved, the city clerk will send the resolution to the tax collector. Are there any questions?
Yeah,
I don't even know what to ask.
everybody knows. I think this was a bad bet back in the day. That's why they have this, right? It was a bad bet because they thought that Walmart was
Yeah,
coming down on
right.
State Road.
Is that's on the south side?
Yeah.
Connecting to 100?
100.
Yeah.
So any discussion from the council? Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve item, I guess it's J15.
J15. Second?
I'll second.
We got a second. Any further discussion? Public comment? Ms. Chantel's like, I don't know. Okay, we'll bring it back to the dais. Ms. Cook, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro,
Yes.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the item consent agenda. We don't have a city manager here. Anybody have any questions?
There is one item you guys need to do, 21, you need to take out and make that an amendment, because that was your legislative, and I believe you made some amendments to that today with the fire.
Our station and the policy.
Motion to
part.
amend.
Yeah, so we just need
So
a,
we have to make a motion to pull from the consent agenda.
yeah. Anybody?
Second.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 21.
That's fine.
You straight? Anybody have any issues with any of the consent items?
I had a question. I'll second your motion, Councilman Sullivan. I had a question on 16, the FEC agreement. I see that this is supposed to be funded with a grant, but that if there are any overages, the city of Palm Coast is responsible for that. Do we know whether or not, or do we feel confident that this should fall within the grant proceeds, this work?
It's going to be within the project cost of Phase 2. So
Okay.
when we get the agreement from FEC, it's going to include the new cost with the permit of the new crossing and the closing crossing. DOT is going to provide some additional funding this fiscal year and possibly next fiscal year for the flagging operations, because flagging operations on the rail line is extremely expensive. I think they come down from Jacksonville, and they get paid lots of money per hour. But DOT is going to provide additional funding for that cost, whether we do an amendment to our current agreement. We're working through that process, how we pay them. But it's part of the project cost. So I guess.
And this is solely design and construction of the closure, not any ancillary costs associated with no longer having a crossing or anything like that.
Correct. It's just tied to the
Like
FEC
economic
agreement
impact
to close that crossing. So any costs from FEC to close it.
Thank you for that clarification.
So did we do what we needed to do there?
No, so you're going to pull up 21, because you did pull it, and
Approve the consent.
I have another question on
Oh,
the consent
sorry.
as well.
we're doing too much at once.
I said minus 21.
And I'm not sure who I should direct this to, but the license agreement with FDOT for camera feeds, is this? How does this typically work? There's no payment or cost associated with it from FDOT to us for using our feeds. Is that not typical?
So, Mr. Miller, we're using theirs. This is us.
We're using theirs, so same. So there's no cost associated with that.
Zach Bauer, IT Senior Program, stepping in for Doug today. No, not that I know of. I believe they're tapping into our fiber, and so we're getting,
So they're putting their cameras on our fiber network.
correct.
Yeah, and there's no we don't charge them a licensing fee for that.
Not that I know. Not that I know of.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that's typical. I mean, obviously, the intent of the fiber network was both to aid in government services, but also to generate revenue. So it's kind of like a gray area in between, right? Because it's an external agency using our fiber network.
At the same time, we're getting access to their camera feed.
Right.
So yeah, we're both getting a benefit from it.
I'd really like some traffic lights at the Matanzas exit, if we can make that contingent.
Yeah, can we do that? Is a good idea. Make this contingent on that.
Okay, Mr. Duffy.
I think that clarifies that, so that changes.
Right now, we're just doing as the motion was, all the items except 21.
Except 21. Yeah. And we got a second?
I second.
We did, yeah.
Or no?
All in favor?
We had public comment.
Oh, public comment?
Anybody?
Nope. Bring it back. All in favor, say aye.
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 Now 21.
Now, item 21. So someone needs to make a motion for adding Fire Station 22 as a priority number 8, I believe was on the list, and then also your policy directions that you wanted as well.
So I will make a motion to approve item agenda number 21 with the addition of Fire Station 22 as an appropriations ask and adding those policy considerations that we discussed from the dais.
SB 180 and dispatchers.
Correct.
Yes.
Plus the one that was already there.
Yes.
So second.
Second.
We got a second. Discussion. Public comment. Back to the dais. We're going to have to call a roll on that one, or say all in favor? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? No opposed? Okay, we're down to our last final public comment. Yes, Ms. Chantel. You need to run for election and be set up here. You're here so much. Might as well get a seat.
I've been thinking about it, actually. We heard about Whiteview Parkway, and there would be some place where there would be some resurfacing. Is it the whole thing, or is it just per area? Because what I'd like to see there when I use that street is I had eye surgery and I can't see well. It doesn't have the marking on the street, and no street lights. So if that could be done, that would be really great. And also on US 1, when you come from Belterre, I don't see that many bike lines, and I'd like to go with my electric scooter, but I don't want to be in the middle of the traffic. I don't even know if I can go on a street if there's no bike line and no sidewalk.
Thank you, ma'am. The one question is, your e-bike, all traffic laws you can ride on the street, if I'm correct, as long as you obey the traffic laws as a car would.
Yeah, you would have to follow the traffic laws all time. So
With e-scooter too, right?
Yes, but you got to go with the traffic, just like a regular car. If that answers that question. Carl, do you have something on Whiteview? I understand what you're saying about the curbs. Carl's going to answer that question.
Yeah, Whiteview
I have more.
Oh, you have more? Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
You still got a
Last
minute.
week I came and I asked a question about buses. And two of you answered wrong my question, but I could not say, this is not my question because my time was gone and the room was not fuller than it is today. So why can't I have a conversation with you when I ask a question and the room is empty?
Okay, what was your question about the buses again, Ms. Chantel?
I wanted to know why we don't have buses to serve the population and not just one group of people.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And we'll answer that.
Thank you.
Carl, did you have a follow-up on Whiteview?
Yeah, Whiteview, the complete entire roadway will be resurfaced. They'll be restriped, and there'll be lighting on the entire street as well.
Okay. And so all the end caps on the curbs should be painted in
Yeah.
compliance with FDOT signals and all that.
Yep, correct.
And as far as the busing is concerned, you said that.
Yeah,
Can anyone use the county busing? Or is it special needs?
It's called disadvantaged.
Disadvantaged.
Public disadvantaged travel system. But anyone who's over a certain age
Yes.
has a disadvantage. There are education reasons to use it. but you have to sign up ahead of time to use the system. So you could apply if you had a special need. So and there are 30 buses and basically drivers that do it, but it's an on-call system, but it is door-to-door, and but you do have to sign up for the system. The reason we don't have a metro system is there's been a number of studies done in the way that ICI designed Palm Coast. Even if you had a loop system, a person might have to walk a mile to get to the bus. It just doesn't work well unless you have a concentrated...
Because those neighborhoods are all
Right.
curved roads,
So,
all back into the back.
I would really advise, and I think we probably ought to have a briefing here on the disadvantaged travel system and what it entails. Maybe come up with a brochure to make it easier for people to take advantage of it. But you do have to sign up for the system and then for a particular trip.
And I can say too, in terms of the TPO and FDOT funding, they've indicated that the on-demand version of public transportation is kind of the model they're all moving forward to,
Moving that way.
which is similar to what we already have versus like a fixed route public transportation system. That would be your traditional busing system. So they're funding less of the fixed route and more of these, like, we'll come pick you up and take you directly to a location type of transportation.
But it's, yeah,
It's disadvantaged age and needs. Sometimes children need
I think
for school.
I think what you said though, maybe we can clarify that by having the presentation and knowing exactly.
On that, it's more available than maybe you think, but it's not available to everybody all the time.
Yeah, I think it's underutilized. Is my understanding of their usage rates.
That would be an action item.
If we get council direct, before I did that, we still have public comment
Okay,
going
we got
on.
one more.
Yeah. And then we can get that.
Thank you, Paulette Hatfield. I just want to commend you all and thank you again for doing all of the construction on Florida Park Drive right now. Even though the road is closed, the people are detouring on Flower Park or Flower Hill Drive, and that has turned into Florida Park Drive. It needs to have some speed calming devices. I know that it's a short-term thing, but honestly, this morning when I was leaving to come here, a woman and her dog were nearly trampled on by a car that was speeding. And so I drive between 12 and 15 miles an hour on that road, as opposed to 45, which is what the lady was doing.
Wow.
So it's a dangerous thing. The sheriff has been advised, and the sheriff that is in charge of, the deputy that's in charge of that area of the F section does have to take the same detour, but he's not there at the same time that the speeders are going. They're very inconsiderate. So I thank you for what you're trying to do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Paulette. Do we have an update on that project? Carl, do you know what's going on over there? Anyone? Storm, who is it? That's all water. What you got, Pete, on Florida Park? When is that project going to be completed? Okay, thank you. And Ms. Chantel, for public transportation, it's about density. Our city is not densely populated, so public transportation is not as efficient and doesn't have the cost benefit that large, dense cities have. That's why we don't have the type of system.
So like you could have stops on Belterre, but somebody in the back of the P's would have to walk all the way up to Belterre to get to the stop. So it'd kind of make it time prohibitive to do that.
I do think it's worth doing
If we have consensus, we can have that as an action item for the city manager.
Yeah, you have my consensus.
Good on that? All right, that's it for that. We'll move on to matters not on the agenda. Anyone have anything? Council member? Yes, sir.
We're getting perilously close to college football season, so the weekly reports will be back. As long as we do well, I might get silent if we don't. But anyways, go Gators. Another thing that I wanted to mention was I wanted to ask for consent to get maybe review the contract with FC3. I know that's kind of a hot topic in the past here, and there's still more communication going back and forth on that. So maybe we could bring that back, review it, and make a decision as a council on how we want to go forward with our grant funding going into the future.
Okay, do we have consensus? We got that contract.
Wait, when does it expire?
It expires September 30th.
Yeah, September. It's before October. I know that.
So we have to, if we're going to make changes, we got to get rolling on it.
James might be able to give you a little.
Yeah, and we're bringing it to council September, October. Yeah.
Okay, thank
for
you.
renewal of the agreement.
Yeah, we have to renew it.
Yeah.
For renewal. I just want to know if anybody would like to discuss making changes to that.
Have to see it. I mean, at this point, there's
Right.
nothing outside my head. I do know, and I had this on an update for everybody, for FC3, they've made a lot of changes and improvements to the grant process based on some, I think, are some admitted missteps. It was the first year of them doing it, so we get some glitches. I know there were some people that were very unhappy with the manner in which the grant process occurred. I was not thrilled with it. I think there was some voiced, we'll call it not thrilled with it from up here, but they have made improvements. So I think it's fair that we do let them come here, talk to us about those improvements. And then, we look at that contract again.
Okay, we can set that up.
We know that's coming.
Yep.
Anything else?
Just one, I have my city council community meeting on this Thursday, community center at 5 o'clock. Everybody's welcome.
Thursday, 5 o'clock. So
Community Center.
5 o'clock. Community Center. Councilman Gambaro, you got anything?
I look forward to visiting with Representative Greco tomorrow at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes. Hopefully it won't be as hot.
I just
Gosh,
had one more update, Mr. Mayor. I was at the Florida League of Cities annual conference this past weekend. A lot of topics of discussion were home rule, trying to lobby to get more authority back to local governing boards, continuing to advocate for that. And there was a lot of good information sessions. There was one on Doge. The head of Zoge actually came and presented. It looks like, my understanding is we're seeing publicly a lot of Twitter discourse, so to speak, between the CFO of the state and certain municipalities in terms of Doge and kind of going back and forth and calling them out for certain practices. And so based on that, I think there's a lot of questions about that in regards to that for the head of Doge. And he kind of, what it seemed like is they're going to continue doing city audits where they'll come spend a week there. I think their order of priority is the larger municipalities first and working their way down. And at some point, they will not continue the way down the list. So I don't know where that leaves us in terms of whether they come to Palm Coast. They did indicate that what they would be doing is kind of publishing a report of key metrics that they think are very indicative of government efficiency. And kind of where cities fall on that scale with a lot of data points. And that's why they've requested all this data from all the different cities. So we'll be able to see like where we are in terms of what they believe efficiency is. And then they said they may have some specific call outs in this report for improvements that some cities can make. I think if they find somebody way out of whack with what kind of the standard is. So looking forward to getting that information back from the state. I think they said somewhere September, October is when they plan on publishing that report. Obviously, dates can change as they tend to do in government. So just wanted to report that back to everybody.
I think I read somewhere that they did one city and the city manager resigned.
That was Gainesville, Florida.
That was Gainesville.
And
well, that city manager will be resigning in November. They didn't resign effective immediately.
Yeah. And so Jacksonville's also been sparring back and forth, and they've been kind of sparring with Brevard County, I believe. A lot of their metrics are based on if you take population growth and cost of living, so CPI growth, right, the cost of doing business growth, and you add that up, and then you look at what our spending is, And if we're spending twice as much as what the growth says we should be spending, then they're saying, hey, you're taking advantage of this and growing your taxes too much. But if you're in line with that growth rate, then they understand, because the cost of doing business is going up. Florida's been open for 5 years in terms of people moving here. And so you have to spend more to take care of, like, for our for us, 30% more population in the last 5 years. That's going to cost more to run city services for that. Yep.
Vice Mayor?
I have a handful of things, sorry. The first is you all had asked me to report back on FC3 operating in the sunshine. So Sean Moylan, Deputy County Attorney, did write a very detailed memo on FC3 and the necessity to operate in the sunshine. Specifically, his memo, and it's a long memo, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just one little snippet. It says, when FC3 votes on the expenditure of county funds, it should be done in compliance with the Sunshine Law. This means FC3 members cannot discuss such matters outside of a publicly noticed meeting, and minutes must be taken. On the other hand, members may speak to each other and operate outside of the sunshine when conducting private matters on behalf of the nonprofit corporation or on matters that do not amount to decision-making of the county. He says, however, when in doubt, best practice and safest course of action is to assume the Sunshine Law applies. So at the FC3 meeting last week, we briefly touched on this, and the discussion was that FC3 will be operating in the sunshine.
And so just to add to that, that's his opinion about the county. So then for city funds, similarly.
Well, so in that when they were operating for us, they weren't operating the same thing. So when they were operating
Advisory,
for the county,
right.
They were doing it in a different form or fashion.
Different function.
For us, they're advising. But at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt them to just follow the
Right. If they're just always in sunshine, then they're covered.
Correct. A couple things. Obviously Ms. Johnston is not here, but a couple concerns I have. Imagine school, the traffic. School's obviously back in session. I would like staff to meet with that school, see what they're doing. I know last year we were talking to them about improvements to their traffic patterns, the school pickup drop-off lines, just see where we're at with that. I would like to see some improvements there. Also, I've been fielding complaints about bus stops, a lot of trash at the bus stops, and I think it gets kind of dangerous because you get parents lining up their cars like at a stop sign, so you get 5 and 6 cars deep, and so then what happens is traffic coming up to those stop signs are going around those cars in the other lane to turn either left or right. So I don't know from an enforcement perspective if there's something that can be done about that, or if it's just hey, parents, we just need to be really careful. I don't know what the solution is.
It's tough. Yeah. Like some of these stops are like residential. Some of them are against other properties like churches and things like that operate in the residential areas. So, obviously it's legal now to be on the shoulder of the road, but it does create a dangerous situation. You've got turns where you turn, and then you've got cars lined up on both shoulders. So there's just a small.
Well, at the very least, there is a law that says you can only park so close to a stop sign. So, like if you're parked in a neighborhood, you can't park 1 foot from where a stop sign is. So, Commander Woodward, I don't know if there's something that you can do with in conjunction with FCSO to maybe for a 2-week span have some type of campaign where we're just trying to clean up those bus stops for safety purposes and just for flow of traffic, and also please don't leave your trash in somebody's front yard if you're at a bus stop. Let's be courteous and just think about being good neighbors. But I would appreciate maybe something like that, Commander, if we could get FCSO. Thank you.
I just want to say along those lines, I don't have any kids in school anymore, but coming north on Old Kings Road during the first week of school, and I money that route a lot of times, but the number of people, are any of the children using the bus system? Because the traffic waiting in the shoulder going south from Old Kings School in the afternoon, I mean, it's a lot. Endless.
Anecdotally, I can tell you that car riders are there's a lot more car riders at the very beginning of school. I think people are,
That's what I was thinking.
they're kind of scared of timing and things like that. And the kids are new to that grade, so they don't know what they're doing when they step out of the bus. And what you see is if you do car riders, so we're close enough to walk and we can't ride the bus. And so we walk, but this year, my stepdaughter is an ambassador. So she stays in the car rider loop to aid younger children from getting in and out of those cars. So we come into the car riders at the end. Well, the first day of school, we were supposed to be at the end, and it was like 4:05 p.m. And there was still another good 45 minutes of cars in the car rider line. Also, they get more efficient kind of operating through this line as well over the course of the year.
You keep going down. I don't think it'll get to Volusia County.
Yeah, it's just, but yeah, so there'll be less people that'll drive their kids to school as the school year goes on. So some of that will dissipate, but it is certainly a problem, especially I'd imagine where there isn't like an alternate, for instance, at Belterre Elementary, there's a very long turn lane that people stack up in. And that happens also on the northbound side that then stacks into the left lane. So anybody going that direction, like at Bird of Paradise, I need to get over into the far right lane if I'm going through. Otherwise, I won't get through. So it is an issue. And imagine especially, I don't know, those areas in front of the school, are they easements for our expansion? Because there's a lot of space there for like a loop or something to be built. But if it's for our expansion, then it can't be done. But I don't know if there's just some capital project that can be done, not on our end, but on theirs, because ultimately they're causing the traffic to alleviate some of that backup that stacks and then blocks an entire roadway.
I do recall there being discussion last year, and that's why I say I just want an update from staff. I want an update what have we tried to do with Imagine? Where are they at? Because they were supposed to be working on something last year.
Yeah, they were.
We're back here again.
Yes.
They were supposed to work on. I think the concept roughly was they were trying to create a loop behind
Correct.
the school.
Yes.
And it never happened.
Yeah, you need somewhere for all those cars to sit, not in the main road.
Miss Larson is not happy at all. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's a mess.
You got something else?
Yes, I'm sorry. There's a lot. So the county did create the IDA, which I think is great for economic development in our city and our county. I would like to see a joint meeting with us and the county and where the IDA presents to us. I think that particularly as we're looking at economic development coming into the West and some pretty cool projects that we've already been briefed on, having the IDA kind of present to us and maybe create a task force between us, the county, and the IDA for economic development, specifically looking at some of the economic development projects that are looking at the West right now. We know we've all been briefed on Project Magellan. We know how great that will be for the city and the county. But it's a lot to coordinate. There's a lot that is going on out there. So I think if we can get a task force created that loops in the IDA, and there's some great brains on that board. The county did a really good job. And I think Mr. Ricky actually was picked for the airport advisory board at yesterday's meeting as well. Just getting a task force created and maybe working with the county in conjunction with us as we look at economic development projects and getting some brains on there who, this is what they do. This is in there. A lot of them are retired. They can use their contacts and their resources to try to help us as we look at economic development projects. So I would just ask for consensus to allow our staff to go back to the county, go back to the IDA, and perhaps try to put something like that together.
You got mine. I think that Palm Coast has a ton of retired C-suite style executives that have a lot of good to give us in that regard. So, putting those people on a task force or a joint board or whatever would be good for Palm Coast. And especially when we're talking about, some of these potential moves that, they're county developed, but then they annex into the city, we should have kind of some thought process in that and how that's going to go.
Consensus? You guys good with that?
Awesome. Thank you. Really quickly. I know. I look.
She said
I warned you. Want to congratulate Chief Patrick Giuliano on his promotion. I can't think of somebody who deserves it more. He's been just a really big contributor to our community in a lot of different ways, gone above and beyond his call of service. So I want to congratulate him and thank him for his service. And then the last thing, please keep Commissioner Dance in your prayers. He's had some medical issues, so just want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers, and Lucy as well. Yeah, so that is it, Mayor.
Thank you. Quick shout out to Ms. Lauren Johnston. I don't know if any of you heard. She noticed a fire down on A1A, called it in, and probably helped save someone's business from burning to the ground.
Yes, the kitchen fire. Yeah.
But Lauren I talked to her about it this morning. She said she was running and she smelled smoke.
Yep.
She recognized it and called it in. So
See something, say something.
I've had a couple of times that that's happened to me. And I think that's all I have. Sean he's got a leadership position in FSU, and the Marching Chiefs have never lost a halftime show. And FSU has Alabama, probably the hardest game of the year for any team coming up, their first game. Anything else?
And it's a shame that, so my understanding is that Lee Corso is doing one game this season as a farewell game for game day. And it's a shame that he's not doing the FSU game. He should be.
And I don't appreciate.
I think he's doing LSU and Clemson.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, Texas.
He started with Ohio State, so he's ending with Ohio State.
And for you Gainesville boys, I don't appreciate $125 for nosebleed seats for the game, Florida State game this year. So, I got my tickets.
Trust me, I'm a season ticket holder. I feel that pain as well.
City Attorney?
Yes, I have 2 items. I'll be quick. So I need to call an executive session for the City of Palm Coast First BVI Construction, the Holland Park case. So I'll be scheduling that case. In that shade meeting, we'll have myself, Lauren Johnson, our attorney Trevor Arnold from Gray Robinson, and also Lauren Elipo, and the rest of City Council. Just need direction on next steps for that litigation. We'll be scheduling that in the next few weeks. I just wanted to take the time to put out the notice right now.
Okay, thank you. Make sure we get it on the calendar.
Yeah, we'll be working the calendar. And then last thing, for the city manager, she told me to remind you that in your agenda packet, you have a reporting of emergency and sole sort purchase for the July 2025.
Okay, roger that.
That's it for me.
I looked at it. There's very things on there. Ms. Cook, you're acting for actions. You got anything for us? Nothing.